So now we have a technology presentation by Mr. Sarabjit Singh Madan, Chief Architect, Red Hat. Over to you, Mr. Madan.
We had this beautiful panel, right? And there are few words which is such a music to me. You know, they're talking about data, they're talking about automation, they're talking about AI ML, and they're talking about all these technologies which we as organizations kind of look at. So I'm Sarabjit. I'm a chief architect at Red Hat, and I've designed a small presentation for you which is called the Digital Dominance Blueprint for PSUs. And whenever we are given an opportunity to present, we're always debating what to do, right? It's like, you know, you select a speaker and you say, okay, Mr. Speaker, what are you going to speak on? And we have two choices. One choice is we talk about our product, which is very easy. We pick up one of the product and say, okay, we're going to talk about it, but we feel that's not justice to you. And the second perspective is we pick up a topic which we feel is going to help the industry, and where we kind of bring in our perspective, practically what we are talking to people. So it's going to be a very honest conversation on how we feel as an organization you should look at digital dominance for the PSUs. The theme today, transformation, and I said, okay, let me not use the word transformation, I'm going to use dominance here. I'm going to begin with a photograph, first of all. Has anybody seen this photograph? It was there in news recently. Anybody wants to attempt? Yeah, please. Absolutely. So this was a photograph from a Sony's World Photography Competition. So there's a gentleman called Boris Elgerson from Germany. He made this photograph, participated in the competition, won the first prize. Then he said, I won't take it. People said, why? He said, this is I generated using AI. People said, and people said, you know, why are you telling? You could have just avoided and taken the prize. He says, no, I want a debate to happen. And he says the photography today is moving from a mere photography to prompt photography. You tell the a system, please do something, create two ladies, one behind, one who's doing, and it will just generate for you. That's the world in which we are living. We're living in a very, very different world today. I think yesterday night I was with the friends and they said, Sarabjit, what are you going to do 5 years from now? He says, no, hold on. What are you going to do 2 years from now? Because the way the things are happening, the discussion, what we're going to do, we don't know, to be very honest. And what we are looking at is, yesterday we had this Google Bard announcement. Did somebody follow this? And a colleague of mine was saying, Sarab, in one day, Google's share increased after Mr. Pichoi started speaking about this. I don't know how much it was, Bhavani. How much was it? 56 million or something? The share increased just because he started speaking about it. And then you talk about ChatGPT, which comes in 5 days takes 1 million subscribers and says, sorry, we have no more space for you to test this out until we launch it or whatever we do. We are working in a very, very different world today. Very different world. And digital transformation is something which we were thinking we need to now look at how we can thrive in this. That's the question. And a very simple agenda which I've set for today, we're going to look at 3 parts to this. We're going to divide into 3 conversations. Who is a digital leader? We're going to look at that. How do we get there? And the last, a very, very important question, which I'm sure all of us are very, it's like, it's very easy to say, I'm going to do AI ML. How are you going to do it? What are you going to work on? Should you buy GPUs first? Should you buy a digital, a software for, data engineering? Or should you be looking at data science? It's a very, very different question. We go and buy a fridge. Let me just do that. Double door, single door. That itself is such a confusing element. What capacity, it's like, we are just, because the choices are so many, and we're going to simplify this. I'll try very, very simple what we need to do. And I would say this will be a journey. This will not be a prescriptive pill. It will be something which will just evolve. So let's look at who is a digital leader. Let's look at that. Somebody who works in his organization, as we had Mr. Mathur speak, the lady from Conclave speak about it, and we had, lot of panelist people from ONGC, all that stuff talking about somebody who's got all these apps and all his applications well connected. Is that one element of it? Where you're looking at connected, nimble app services, bringing speed to the whole thing. I could go further and say somebody who's a leader looks at beyond processes. He looks at beyond the processes. Processes is taken, is given. Now he needs to look at what are the disruptions happening. COVID gave us a big jolt. It told us if you were not ready, your offices are shut. If you were digitally connected, you had all the stuff, you could work. But now if the leader has to think not just this process and strategy, he has to look at economic and market disruptions. Like, for example, getting back to Google, somebody was writing an obituary for Google, ChatGPT's come, Google's gonna, Google says, I'm gonna come with Bard, right? And let's look at the war now. He's gonna look at all the disruptions. That's what the leader does. You look at the third element to look at, he is open to everything. He understands the ecosystem. The leader is well informed. He looks at all the stuff which is happening around, looks at all the connections. So that's what the leader is. Now we go to the next topic. Next is, everybody needs to look at where they are in their journey. It's a very, very, very significant step. First, I need to measure, where am I? Where am I on this journey? Am I just using technology? Am I transforming, or am I innovating? Some of the conversations which are happening here, what we do in healthcare, the sir was talking about, or, the gentleman was talking about, the way we are looking at Chris today from a organization which is doing automation at different levels, the back end, looking at AI, ML, looking at where are we? At what stage are we? That's a very, very important element. Now, how do we get there? Some things you might find abstract, but I'll make it simpler. I'll go further to this. Open architectures, very important. And please trust me for it, I'll take it to the next level. You look at open processes. You need to really redefine the way you think you're kind of working today and the culture part of it. I think there was a question which the gentleman who was kind of moderating this panel was talking about, is skill your issue? Is technology your issue? He asked a very good question. And that's where the culture becomes a very important element. What's your issue? If you ask the CIO today, is it not being able to look at the emerging technology, or culturally being able to adopt it, or by skill being able to adopt it? These are the serious questions which somebody is facing. I went to a customer in Odisha. I said, Sarabjit, I'm not able to attract people to this land. If I'm not going to look at these kind of technologies today, I need to look at a place where I can have my culture. And it says, for me, my developers are very, very significant. Can you enable them to do things? He's talking about the cultural part of it. So we say, okay, sir, we're going to not just looking at using technologies for you or the architects. We're going to look at this cultural part of it a lot. That's what we're talking about. So where do we start? I think this is where it becomes absolutely nuts and bolts how we do it. We're going to look at 5 elements to this. The first is, you need to crack the cloud code. Simple. Cloud is a reality, but this code is very complex. It's not an easy code. It's a difficult code. You need to break this up. You need to be on top of it. Cloud, I respect cloud. I as an architect, if 5 years back, somebody would ask me, Sarabjit, what will you do? And honestly, you ask anybody who works for a technology company, we have 2 paths, sir. Either we become a manager or we stay a technologist. Fair? And when the cloud computing came in, some of us felt, I can stay an architect. Because cloud computing brought in those elements of things which I could now talk to my customer and say, yes, it has brought in a new, but you need to break this code, how to adopt it. The second is you need to look at your applications. Creating a mobile app, a website is not modernization. You need to literally go to your core, literally go to your application, the way you kind of modernize them up. The third is, how you kind of look at, integrating applications, data, and processes. You look at artificial intelligence. I think I started with that picture to give a very strong message that, most of the conversations which we are doing today, we are talking about these elements. We are talking about, talking to customers and saying they want to look at AI very, very seriously. Let it be any sector. We had a gentleman visit us from education sector at our booth, and he said, Sarabjit, what can I do? And Cherin was there with me, my colleague from Red Hat. He said, what are the use cases I can look at? I said, sir, you are providing education, you're providing your media content to the government schools. These schools are running it. Can you not use AI to look at how effective they are? He says, yes, I should look at that. Can you not look at AI to kind of design the new level of, programs which you need to run for your schools, And the third is the way you should extend them up. So there are so many capabilities which you can look at. It's just a matter of, us being able to look at. So that's this thing. And the last is you need to automate. I think COVID showed that the first priority when the CIOs were asked after a couple of years is, what's the priority? They said, let's automate everything because we can't work without it. So this is my 5 steps, and I'm going to look at the first one. Now, how do you crack the cloud code? There are 5 elements to this code. The first element is it's becoming multi-cloud, right? It's no more that, okay, I subscribe to AWS or I subscribe to Google. You need to be in the reality that it's becoming multi. It's no more single cloud. It's like, earlier you used to have, okay, I'm going to take SAP for finance. I'm going to take Oracle for HR. I'm going to take, TIBCO for something. That's how you used to use best of the breed applications. Now it's best of the breed clouds. That's where it's becoming multi-cloud. I'm going to look at PaaS, SaaS. I'm going to look at IaaS. I'm going to look at all these combinations from these clouds. That's first element of the thing. The second is regulatory controls. Because all the while, the sovereignty is an important topic. You need to look at where the data resides, what's it's doing. That's the second part of the code. The third part is TCO. A very important element which basically gets hidden. You only discover it later. And you now found certain articles, people are questioning this. People are saying, it's becoming prohibitive beyond 5 years. So for the first 5 years, whatever I'm doing, OpEx versus CapEx story, it's okay. Beyond that, it becomes issue for me. So TCO is another element you need to crack up. The fourth is portability. In certain forums I've spoken, it is not the question how you can migrate to the cloud. The bigger question is how you can come out of the cloud. That's the architectural question. The question to be asked is not, how can I adopt AWS? No, that's not a question. It's very simple. You need to, build bridges to kind of get your data in. You need to get some compute running. You need to get some services running. It's okay. The reverse questions, how do I break these bridges? Can I move to multi-cloud in a true honest sense? I put a lot of focus on this portability. And tomorrow the regulations change and you say, oh my God, I was putting some application on my cloud. Can I bring it back? I'm working with one customer who is modernizing his application, and the first clause which is written in whatever he's written is, I want this back and forth movement. It's a very, very significant, kind of a design principle to look at. And the last element is security. Whatever you may wire, we have a security session after my session as well, so you can understand how significant it is. And if you really look at the CIO's priority, number 1 priority may be security as well. They are looking at security as a very, very important element in the conversation. So if you need to crack the code of the cloud, I repeat, you need to look at least these 5. And maybe your organization needs something different. And we are very happy to work with you. Is it possible? Is it not possible? That's the question. Sometimes when I meet the customer and I say, sir, we can crack this. And they say, sir, I think I wanted to have such conversations. Can I have portability in a true sense? Can I literally be something on-premise, something there? Can I look at hybrid? I think that's what he's asking. But still have all the controls, still be able to take multi-cloud, still be able to take regulatory, optimize my code, have my security fabric, which runs absolutely seamless from what I do on-premise to how my security is on the cloud. Can I have one fabric of security? It's possible. It's absolutely possible. We go further, and this is how the whole multi-cloud looks like. You have something on AWS, something somewhere, triangle, rectangle, pentagon, it could be anything, all connected. I go to the next one. The next one is cloud native development, and I'm going to talk about three things here. One is platform consolidation. I'm going to look at event-driven architectures. I'm going to look at edge. So when you're looking at, 5 years back, when people were looking at applications, let me put 5 years, people were saying it's going to have 3 tiers, it's going to have, so you have 2 stacks, you can look at Java, you can look at .NET, all that was good. Now, the new age platforms, and you had to live with one for the years to come. You had to live with those skills, you had to live with those kind of codes, you had to live with those kind of databases. People are saying we can't do that. It's very different. It's very difficult, sorry. It's very difficult to kind of look at. There is a very significant need to kind of consolidate platform. And that's what is reflective of all the RFPs which have come in, or all the conversations which we do, even at BFSI sector, PSU sectors, all that. That's one thing, a very serious thing to look at. The second is event-driven. How agile are your architectures? If you are looking at a digital dominance, you literally need to be responding to the events which are happening in your business and wherever they are happening, back end, front end, in your warehouse, in your, manufacturing shop floor, wherever, you need to look at event-driven architectures. And the last is, now the technology is moving so swift, it is moving to the edge. It is moving to the place where it's happening. It's saying, I'm not no more centralized. I become decentralized. And that's what you need to look at from a cloud native development. And this is one slide. Again, I've not branded anything from Red Hat here. I've just put in, this is how the world is consolidating. You're looking at all your traditional apps on a platform like Kubernetes. You're looking at all your cloud native applications sitting on it, and you can extend the same from AI/ML. The whole question is of a conscious decision that can I consolidate? The whole, thinking starts. So I speak to a lot of CIOs. I was speaking to one of the CIOs. He was from a financial space. He says, Sarabjit, I joined this company. They were having a code which was running for the last 25 years. I had to come in and bring some level of transformation very quickly, first at the customer side. He says, I created a super app. I created the web. My app is very fast. And I said, that's very good, sir. He says, now, that was my phase 1. My phase 2 is, I'm going to look at my core. I'm going to look at my core application, and that's where I'm going to look at a platform like Kubernetes to kind of consolidate them. And if you ask me, is it easy? The answer is no. Let me be very honest to you. I'm not going to paint a beautiful, story and say this is a very good thing, everything is here. No, it needs a very, very, dedicated, conscious effort to look at, yes, I'm going to look at consolidating my applications. I'm going to look at Kubernetes as an engine. Trust me, if done well, that's where the next level of digital transformation comes in. So you look at your client side, look at apps which can be wrappers to whatever you're doing, but beyond a point, you need to look at application modernization, and this becomes a very important glue. And this is how the old architectures are breaking. So you have this, so the CIO I was talking to, he says, Sarab, I have a very big code. I'm going to break it into 3 parts now. I'm going to break it into something which I cannot further break from my monolith. I'm going to look at something which is microservices-based architectures. I'm going to look at something on the cloud. A show of hand, we all understand microservices-based architectures? Yeah, we understand microservices-based architectures. Anybody, if I can further expand if somebody wants. Okay? So that's what it is. And on the event side of it, now you're designing application which were earlier producing events, which was on the left-hand side, which is here. You have I'm just gonna get a hold of this. So you had earlier applications which were created, which were emitting event. Now what we're saying is, please don't do like that. Let you design applications which you are going to make. So we've just shifted a bit of a focus. This is for another day. This is a 2-hour conversation which I'm very happy to do with you or my colleagues. We have a very strong team of Red Hat present here. We'll be very happy to talk to you. If you are going to look at these kind of things, we can literally take you. And I feel this is a technology which has revolutionized a lot of applications modularity in the way they are. So I strongly make a case for you to look at on the application side, not just consolidating, not just modernizing your application, looking at architecturally how you can bring in these elements to it. That's my submission to you. So I go further. Now we look at the transformation part of it. So first we looked at cracking the cloud code. We looked at the application. I moved to the third element, which is transformation. And here I've put in 3. You look at transforming your security processes, because that's very important. You look at internal collaboration, which is very significant, and the consistent upgrades. This is going to be a little interesting. Okay, so I'm going to do the first 2 first, which is like you need to look at new ecosystem, cultural transformation. How you kind of deliver. People would have heard DevOps, DevSecOps, right? These words ring a bell. So these are the ways for you to now look at the new age processes of development. I think if I talk about waterfall, somebody might laugh that, Sarabjit, why are you talking about it? This used to happen earlier. Now we are looking at this. I'm saying take it very seriously. This is a very, very important element of the whole picture which you are doing. You need to look at security into your processes. Now it's a shift left. You basically can look at technologies where you can create these kind of structures where security is at every element. Okay, yeah. Very quickly, I think there's a time, I think we're missing it, so I'm going to wrap this up a little quicker. So this is what you do. And the last, this is a statement which I love. Judge a man by his question rather than his answers. Why I'm telling this? In my org, in first quarter, all of us were asked to do lot of internal courses. We are measured on it. And I feel if somebody has to live in this digital world today, he has to go back to school every time. The periodicity the organization can decide, because if you're not going to ask me the right question, I can't give you the answer which you want. And today the thing is, it holds good for me as a technologist, it holds good for organizations. I think it's like going back to school for everybody today. Please take it with all due respect. I think if we don't do this, we can't ask the right questions. And if you don't ask the right questions, I may talk to you about DevSecOps. I want you to ask me serious questions about it. If I talk about AI/ML, you should ask me very serious questions about it. Sarabjit, how will it happen? How this DC? How DR? This is a very important, because the way the technology is changing, it's changed. It's like way too fast. I love this statement. Very quickly on to the AI, just last 2 points. Artificial intelligence, I think it's a world of data engineering. I started with that photograph, AI-based support system, neural networks. Somebody was asking me, Sarabjit, what kind of use cases we can do? I said, you could just do something on text, have statical stuff running on it. You could do that. You could do image-based predictive maintenance at BHEL or at ONGC or any place. You can look at the corrosions. You can look at the meter readings. You can look at all the stuff using image processing. Then you could have videos. You could have beautiful videos on. You could have drones which are having software to kind of take the videos, say what is happening. You can do video analytics. Simple 3-step. All that stuff happening here. A lot of industry use cases, from healthcare to financials to telecommunication, insurance, automotive, government. I think you can coach us well from the industry, to be very honest. What we are just representing here is, it's endless. It's literally, it's all to the imagination. And what we are looking at is, just a video analytics. I'm going to skip this up, but that's how we kind of have architectures to talk to you. So we're very happy to have a conversations around AI ML to you, how open source software today is becoming a very, very strong proposition. You don't need to look at cloud. You need to look at open source. Open source is the engine to kind of look at all those kind of stories. And it's happening on the edge. Very quickly, the video, please. I'm going to show you some lovely video. It's just a small 50 seconds. Yep. You'll be very glad to know we are taking such conversations to defense as an organization. And this use case even holds for manufacturing. This use case is a representation that, tomorrow, whatever your use case is, open source can seriously solve your, capabilities on the AI ML side. I'm going to quickly jump to my last part. Hyper automation, I think that's the world which I started with. Everything as a code. Look at automating everything from your security, network, cloud, infrastructure. The question is not what you can do in automation. The question is what you cannot. That's the answer you should seek. What you cannot do. I think we can do everything. If you literally want to automate, we can sincerely, seriously bring in AI together and just do that all together. And treat everything as a code. I think look at new ways of building applications to look at code as a, everything as a Git as a repository, everything as a code. Whatever you're doing in development, you can do on the infrastructure side. So I'm just going to leave a thought with this. What would you do differently if you were the digital leader? We have a lot of digital leaders here. So that was our presentation on it. We are very happy to collaborate. We have a booth there. We have a very large team. We have the leaders from Red Hat here. People on automation, AI, ML, cloud native, everybody present. Please visit us, and thank you so much for your being a great audience. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sarabjit Singh Madan from Red Hat for a wonderful presentation, I must say. Opened up a lot new avenues, and the last part of that video, that can be a game changer. And as you rightly said, it's not only about defense, it can be used in various segments, various sectors in the years to come. Thank you so much. I request Rajneesh, the consulting editor of APAC News Network, to come on stage and kindly hand over the souvenir to Mr. Sarabjit Singh Madan from Red Hat. A huge round of applause for him, please. Thank you so much. That was technology presentation from Red Hat.